silly thing I bought the other day. Anyway, bought that for $1 at, I think the name of it is, golly, it's one of those dollar stores. I can't ever remember. It's like a Family Dollar, I think. Anyway, this is Dave, and I've been watching some of the album covers that fold out, the centerfold album covers, Gatefolds, and I saw Dots and Loops, Dan's video today, and I thought I'd add to the thread. Here lately, just been doing like everybody else has been doing, staying quarantined and going out as little as possible, you know, other than just to the store and whatever. But last night I watched the Turtles. I saw Dan, he did the Turtles Battle of the Bands, and I always liked the Turtles. You know, I remember them being one of the earlier pop bands at the time. This is their golden hits, and they had a second volume of it as well. But YouTube has a documentary on the Turtles, and I watched that last night. I thought it was really fun, and learned a little bit about the band in the early days and so forth. If I can remember, I'll leave a link to it below, because if you like the band, it was a really pretty fun documentary. And then I watched the first part, or the first episode of Raised with Wolves, which is the well, Ridley Scott directed one of the first two episodes, but it's a science fiction series on HBO Max, and they had the first episode up on YouTube, so I checked that out. And I'm a real big science fiction fan, so I was real happy to watch that. I've read where a lot of people think the first episode is too slow, but I didn't find it that way at all. I just thought it was really interesting, and you know, kind of conveyed more or less, you know, how I remember science fiction in books being, sort of, you know, really alien worlds and alien, you know, characters and stuff like that, and kind of set up a premise. I'm real curious to know where it goes. I don't have HBO Max, but you know, maybe once they have all the episodes for the first season, you know, finally made and whatever, or, you know, where you can access them, I might just subscribe to it just to watch that and then cancel my membership. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I'll try and leave a link to that too as well. But okay, Gatefolds. This is one I thought of. This is Every Good Boy Deserves Favor, and of course is the Moody Blues, I don't know, like their 5th album or something like that. But I always loved the album cover and the art on their albums. This isn't one of my favorite albums by them. On the Threshold of the Dream would be one of them, and then To Our Children's Children's Children, I like that one too. But I mean, like all their albums, about their first 6 or 7 albums are really worth owning if you like their type music. But I like this Gatefold. To me, it kind of has some sort of historical theme to it, you know, like going back in time, and you know, it has this old flavored painting to it, and then on the cover it's like some sort of modern fantasy cover to it. Steve Miller Band. I always thought Steve Miller bands, a lot of people poo-poo them because I guess they were radio friendly back in the day. But this is their first album, and it's the first 2 albums, 2 or 3 albums are, I think, some of their best ones. So some of the other ones are pretty good as well. But you know, and then the back cover's kind of got this sort of 3D look to it. But and then the inside of it, you know, pretty psychedelic, is the same way. And always wondered what this these funny symbols were here. But one day I was looking at it and it finally made sense, and you have to look at the inside of it right here. But you can see this is kind of a C, H, and then it goes, it spells out Children of the Future, which is the name of the album, which I thought was pretty cool once I figured it out. And the front is the same way. But real interesting album cover. Then you have Wheels of Fire by Cream. Always like this album cover too, particularly because of the psychedelic look to it, but also the music in it is really good. I was always a fan of Cream way back in the day, and always thought that metallic look to it was always really cool. But then on the inside too, it had another psychedelic look to it, and the one I got was kind of misprinted because this is upside down. It should look like this, but yeah, it's interesting in that they misprinted the inside of this album cover. But yeah, really great album, a lot of good songs on it. Still listen to that album today. Then Elton John, Tumbleweed Connection. Again, I think some of his better albums for me are like his earlier ones, like this one and the one with your song on it. But yeah, this and Madman Across the Water and Dirt Brown Cowboys. But I like the way the inside of it looks, because it is sort of reminds me of one of those old photographs back in the 1900s or something, and it's got this booklet too with nice lyrics and photographs and illustrations. I like the train there, but and it's got the little pointy fingers down here. But then you got the band members, like in an old photo album that they used to have, back in the day with the cut corners, or I guess they're stuck inside the holders of the pictures. But plus the album cover had this kind of grainy texture to it. But really good album. Really loved Elton John back in the day, and still do actually. I still listen to some of his stuff. This is Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks, Striking It Rich, which is made like a matchbook cover. There's the back of it. Dan Hicks is sort of an overlooked band, I think, but there they are on the inside, kind of a die cut. Then the album lifts out here, and there they are too. But they were kind of a swing act, but they also included stuff like blues, kind of rhythm and blues and soulful blues, and always had really good harmonies. Really did, play their instruments well. And like I said, one of the overlooked bands, from back in the day. But boy, when I get in a mood, there's nothing better than, Dan Hicks. Then there's Fripp and Eno, No Pussyfooting. In this, I remember when this album came out, I was living down in Austin and wondered what this was like. I believe it had the first two Eno albums in it, although neither one of those, and they still don't do too much for me. I don't care for the singing on it, but I do like this one. And they're in this kind of infinity room where it keeps reflecting back and back and back, and then you open it up and it's, even more so that way. It's kind of a, double image here. But, kind of a really trippy album cover for sure. But I do like this album. I'm not always in the mood for it, as much as other albums, because it's just so sort of avant-garde in a way. But this is where I think sort of caught my attention And then after this one, he did another Green World, I believe is the name of the album. But this one is probably one of his more avant-garde albums in a way, sort of ambient sound. But when I'm in the mood for it, it's a really good album. This is Steve Howe, the guitarist for Yes, and the album cover is by the same guy that did all the album covers for Roger Dean for the band Yes, which I always liked his album art. And I actually have a book of his artwork back there in my books. But on the inside, it shows all these guitars that he probably uses. I think this one here is his main guitar. Is that one right there? Or at least that's the one that I always see him playing on whenever I've seen the videos of Yes. I've got a couple of DVDs of them. And then you've got this old woodcut here of the guy playing guitar. And then I like guitars. I think they're you know, sort of really interesting as far as the way the different guitars look. I've also got a guitar book on electric guitars that has a bunch of different guitars like this, and it's I don't know, about a 200-page book on just there's one on electric and there's one on acoustic guitar as well. But yeah, it would be interesting to play some of those guitars. So Steve Howe. George Harrison, Dark Horse. Aside from his first album, All Things Must Pass, I think this may be my second favorite to that album. I didn't pick this up, you know, when it first came out, but I've always liked the album cover. Here he is on the back. But I was real curious about it, and most of the songs on here are written really well. But here's the inside of it, sort of a English park or English woods, and it's got this early English writing, you know, going around with the song titles and what have you. But the inside, he says, "Well, Leo, what say we promenade through the park?" So evidently it's a park somewhere in England. But yeah, I don't know, I guess this may be a rugby team or some sort of team like that, or schoolboy team. I don't think George Harrison is on there. Maybe somebody knows something more about this album than I do. But yeah, sort of a nice graphic looking album. You got Led Zeppelin, Presence. Of course, it's the one with the obelisk cover here. And then on the back you have the same one. But what I like about it is they have these old kind of retro photographs from the 50s. And I always thought that was pretty cool. Of course, the obelisk is in each one of them. And then you've got these old retro photos in it as well. From around, I think it's around the 50s and whatnot. But and probably this album, I assume, is by Hypnosis, which did a lot of the albums back in the day. But yeah, pretty fun album cover. Todd Rundgren's A Wizard, a True Star, which is more or less the same, die cut though, on both sides. And then the inside is just sort of this strange, of course, same thing on both sides, kind of like a Rorschach ink blot would look. But yeah, real interesting psychedelic inside cover to it. Peter, Paul and Mary, more simple on this album cover, but I do like the graphics on it. Kind of here there's a photograph of them on the bottom, but these graphics up here and on the back are sort of remind me of old cards from back in the day, like the 50s or something like that. And then you have the same graphics. Like I said, it's real simple stuff. Not necessarily Valentine cards, but I guess some of those could be, you know, taken from Valentine cards, but just old graphics from back in the day. And as far as a Peter, Paul and Mary, this is a best of 10 years together, and has a lot of their best songs on it. Lemon Tree, Blowing in the Wind, Leaving on a Jet Plane, Puff the Magic Dragon, If I Had a Hammer, stuff like that. Real nice album. Then you have this one here, Frank Zappa and the Mother's second album, Absolutely Free, on Verve. And I used to love this album cover, and really I still do, the graphics on it. Just the way it's, you know, all put together, and the neat artwork on the bottom of it, and this sort of collage part with the group on it. And then on the inside, you know, you have the band over here, which, I mean, you know, what a bunch of rough cut guys, right? Clean American version. I'd read all the, you know, nice typography here that was used. He always did make good album covers. This is the closest, you know, I read an article way back when that described Frank Zappa and the Mothers way back when, that said it kind of sounded like a zoo burning down. Well, this is the closest album to me that kind of sounds like a zoo burning down, and I really love it though for that reason. It gets kind of chaotic in certain areas of it. Here's Frank holding up his shirt. I mean, like, these guys weren't pretty boys like the Association or anything, you know. But you know, they certainly had a marketing look to them, I'll say that. And if you liked them, then you just, you know, went along with the ride. But yeah. All his album covers, I thought, were always pretty interesting and always drew me in, wanted me to, you know, got me to buy the albums, you know, I mean, along with the music, of course, but, you know, he knew that the design on the albums were a big selling point, so, you know, quite a musician. Anyway, those are my fold-out album covers, inset album covers, however you want to call it. I'm ready for Halloween, and just wanted to share, be part of the thread, and come on here and show a few album covers that I have. So anyway, hope everybody's staying safe and not going too crazy out there, and enjoying life the best way you can. So I guess I'll talk to you later. Stay safe.